What's up guys, it's Gage, and today I'm coming at you guys with a little bit of a different video. A group that I'm in actually is having a competition to try to break the card A Man with Wdjat, with 3 different cards, one being a spell and one being a trap, the other being whichever you want. If Wdjat is being pronounced incorrectly throughout the video, it will be throughout the rest of the video. I'm not sorry. So for people unfamiliar, as you might be, A Man with Wdjat is a card that was released many moons ago with the effect of when you normal summon this card, and during each of your standby phases, select one set card on your opponent's side of the field, pick it up and look at it, then return it to its original position. This card is a dark level 4 spellcaster with 1600 attack, 1600 defense, and it sucks. It does absolutely nothing, doesn't gain you advantage. The only thing it gains you is information. Information that may or may not be useful, most of the time not being useful, as there's really no way to utilize that information besides maybe playing around what the card is. So being tasked with the challenge to make this card broken with 3 custom cards, I actually took the liberty of creating 3 cards that I think actually ended up pretty good to make A Man with Wdjat an actually pretty good dude. And in my normal perfectionist fashion, all the cards have close to perfect PSCT, because I just like the way it looks when a card is well thought out. So kicking it off, I have a quick play spell card called Wdjat's Spellbook of Wisdom. It is a quick play spell card that reads, target one set spell or trap card your opponent controls and declare a card name. If the targeted card is called correctly, then set it to your side of the field. Otherwise, return it to its original position. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted card in response to this card's activation. During either player's turn, if your opponent reveals a card, you can banish this card from your graveyard, reveal one set card your opponent controls, or one card in their hand, then add one A Man with Wdjat from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Wdjat's Spellbook of Wisdom once per turn. So right off the bat, the first synergy that you might actually not notice is actually within the name of the card, Wdjat's Spellbook of Wisdom. The fact that this has Spellbook in this name, I tried to tie it even just loosely into maybe Spellbooks, which is the infinitely better spellcaster archetype right now, to maybe make the Wdjat a little sub-engine in there. And I believe this card is pretty much the pinnacle of the support, being at its insane. It's like a Night Beam that you can steal the card from your opponent if you call it correctly. I just think that's really good. It ties in with the synergy that you want to use A Man with Wdjat's normal summon effect to reveal the set card so you can see what it is before you activate this. That's of course going to be also tied into the rest of the archetype support that I created to be able to read your opponent's card, to gain information. That's what I really tied this little sub-engine into. Now, since A Man with Wdjat is only limited to set, spell, or trap cards, I actually decided to broaden that with the Spellbook's Banish effect, being able to also reveal one card in your opponent's hand. And that's going to be important later, as for a card that I'll tell you guys in a little bit. Overall, I think this is probably one of the best designed cards I made, being the fact that it ties in with the spellbooks really cleanly. You can't copy it with Master, which is a balancing effect, but it's also a quick play spell card, which is a lot better too, being that you can end phase do it, and if you know what they added to hand or something, you're able to steal the card before they're even getting a chance to activate it. So there's a lot of kind of balancing factors I took into consideration. Being able to not master this thing, I think, was a huge balancing fact. So that's just something I want to point out. The next card I made is actually a continuous spell card, and it's the Library of the Wdjat, and its effect reads, when this card is activated, you can add one Wdjat card from your deck to your hand. Whenever a card is revealed, place one Wdjat counter on this card, max 3. When this card has Wdjat counters on it, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can remove one Wdjat counter from this card to target one set card your opponent controls or a card in your opponent's hand and reveal it. While this card has 3 Wdjat counters on it, your opponent must play with their hand revealed at all times. Now, at the very core of this card, it's just simply a tanky for the Wdjat little sub-archetype I created. But there's so much more to the card if we dig deeper. I decided to use the Wdjat counters, Wdjat, I don't even know how to fucking pronounce it now. I don't know. I decided to use the counters into it to give it a little bit of a Star Hall kind of effect, where if your opponent reveals a card where you can use the spellbook, or if you use A Man with Wdjat, it's not worded that way, but I believe if we were to errata its effect by reprinting it for some ungodly reason, if we were to errata its effect, it would get the effect of reveal that set card and then return it to its original position. So I decided to go upon revealing stuff as tying into the archetype. So with the keyword reveal, this actually ties really well into the spell books as well as just the Wdjat kind of theme in general, being able to reveal stuff off of High Priestess and Master, but also simultaneously using Wdjat effects to get counters on this card as quickly as possible to max it at 3. It's also just kind of a self-counter producing card, as you're able to activate its effect to remove a counter, reveal a card, and then be able to put another counter on it afterwards. It seems sounding counterproductive, maybe just make it like a once per turn effect, but the counters make sense, so I wanted to do that. And when it has 3 counters on it, your opponent plays with their hand revealed at all times. This information is very valuable, and to have it kind of built into a card rather than just playing the one trap card, I forget what it's called. I'll throw it up here. There's a trap card that your opponent plays with their hand revealed at all times, but I forget what it's called. So tying that card into here might actually make kind of a usable effect, but it actually is a very, very powerful effect when I tell you about the next card, and the very last card I'm going to talk to you guys, and that's Wdjat's Reckoning. Wdjat's Reckoning is a normal trap card with the effect of, if you control a man with Wdjat, you can target a total of 3 cards in your opponent's hand or set cards your opponent controls and declare the card names of each. Then reveal the cards. If you declared all names correctly, your opponent sends all cards in their possession to the graveyard. Otherwise, you cannot activate effects for the rest of the turn. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted cards in response to this card's activation. Now, I did mention that the goal was to break a man with Wdjat, right? Well, I kind of did with this card. I think this card's absolutely bonkers, but it's only bonkers when you tie it in with all the information you've gathered from the other cards in the archetype, and that's only when it's good. If you're able to get 3 counters on a library with Wdjat and control a man with Wdjat, who, let's remember, doesn't have any self-protection effects at all, it's just not going to protect itself to anything like a Dryden or whatever. If you manage to stick a man with Wdjat and have this card in your back row, you're going to be able to send all cards in your opponent's possession to the graveyard. That's the hand and the field. It's crazy. Now, of course, slow rolling information and getting lucky is also part of this, where you can use the Wdjat spell Book of Wisdom to maybe see a card in your opponent's hand and then take note of it, or if you note all the cards in their back row, you're able to use that information and then maybe take a guess and hopefully pick the right 3, but otherwise, you're not activating anything for the rest of the turn. Since it's a trap card, you can't activate maybe your Spellbook of Fate or something like that you have in the back row because you activated Wdjat's Reckoning and failed to call correctly. This card seems really simple to pull off if your opponent has a hand of 3 or more cards and you have library with 3 counters on it. However, in any other scenario, it's really difficult to pull off because your opponent can simply hand shuffle to hide the cards that you might have already revealed in their hand to reduce the chance of you actually picking the correct one. If you manage to reveal actually 3 separate set cards on the field with Man with Wdjat and the Spellbook of Wisdom though, you probably deserve to activate this card correctly. I do think maybe the drawback of calling incorrectly for this card could have been a little bit greater, maybe something where you remove all cards from your hand in the field, but I thought that was a little bit too much since you're already kind of handicapping yourself by playing fucking a Man with Wdjat. Like, how fucking worse do you have to play of a card to play something broken like this? Pretty much though, this is just a straight up game ending card. Like, you just get rid of all cards in your opponent's hand on your field if you call them correctly. But it takes a lot of work to be able to pull this off. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's actually quite balanced. As balanced as wiping everything from the game is, I don't fucking know. That being said, that is the 3 cards that I created to try to make Man of Wdjat actually broken. I want to hear what you guys would think of to try to make this Man with Wdjat do something pretty bonkers. It's something that I think is a little fun to create custom cards around a challenge like this, and I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of the archetype cards that I created, and that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like the video, thumbs up the video, how much you enjoyed the video. Pack winner, that's you. Shoot me a PM. When I get enough, I'll send them all out. Still accumulating, you know the deal. If you're not in the US, don't bother PMing me. Sorry I can't send it overseas. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Please do subscribe, it makes me very happy. I like being happy. Thanks guys. Love you, Nim Nim signing out.